Hello, class, and welcome to the final chapter of the semester. So it is amazing how quickly 8 weeks can go by. But here we are in the last chapter about strategically managing the HRM process and the function. Let's tie it all together. As I mentioned last chapter when we were talking about tying it all together internationally, now let's tie it together as, basically as HR professionals. Really, we're to the point now where you kind of have the basic skill sets now to go out and understand the core functions of HR. Selfishly, because I'm an HR professional, I hope, a lot of you will consider HR careers because, again, it is amazing how rewarding it is and how much you're able to really impact the employees that you work with. But again, as I mentioned on the very first day, even if you never ever spend a day of your life in HR, all the concepts we've talked about all semester definitely have HR functions in them. Because even if you're, let's say, the vice president of finance, you still need to hire people. You still need to make sure they have benefits. You still need to make sure that you develop them and train them. If they're part of a union, you need to know how to be able to handle the union management side of things. You still have to do performance evaluations. You still have to make sure their compensation and the increases and potentially, terminations or firings are all addressed. So all these HR functions we've been talking about all semester are going to follow you your entire career. So that's why it is really important to study this information. Your book, I believe it's figure 16.1, does a great job of kind of talking about the different time lengths that most HR professionals spend doing certain things. And it's put up in a pyramid format. So if you look at the base of the pyramid, 65 to 75% of HR work is transactional and this is what the majority of frontline and specialist type HR positions do. They enroll people in benefits. They might post a job online to recruit for. They help somebody with their new hire paperwork. They help them fill out their performance evaluation. So a lot of what HR is that very transactional kind of day-to-day operations type thing. But now that you're all experts in HR and hopefully a lot of you will aspire to help some managerial responsibilities someday, now we start kind of working our way up the pyramid, and the middle part's the more traditional, which is about 15 to 30% of the time, which is doing things like compensation, doing compensation studies, actually actively sitting down with with applicants and recruiting them and looking for the best fit for your company, actually conducting training classes and evaluating performance. That's kind of the heart of what we're doing is the more traditional functions. And especially as you get higher and higher into organizations, the director, VP type levels, now you're in the 5 to 15%, the top of the pyramid range, which is all about transformational. It's about affecting culture. It's about giving your employees the opportunity to thrive and helping them in a situation where, yes, they know how to do all the functions of their job, but now they're adding strategic value to the company. They're developing managers to hopefully maybe take over for them someday or to develop their own career paths as they get further and further into the company. So HR is really, you can think of it, the work that's done in HR is kind of a pyramid. And, even though the base of the pyramid is what we spend a lot of our time doing, as you get higher and higher up the pyramid, that's really when, we start adding strategic value to our organization. Well, another thing I kind of want to talk about are key indicators of customer satisfaction. In the middle of this chapter, your book kind of lists all the different functional areas of HR and what are the things that what outputs are we looking to accomplish, and then what do we hold accountable from our constituents? For example, in the benefits discussion, how do we know a benefit that we offer is working? If we offer free childcare, for example, as a benefit, but none of our employees have kids and nobody's really utilizing it, well, it would be foolish for a company to continue to spend money on a benefit that nobody can use. And that's why, just as we talked about in our benefits section, the cost containment and control is so important. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen in the news, like in training and development, a lot of companies are getting rid of annual performance evaluations, opting instead to do more 360 or more year-round evaluations. Well, again, if you continue to do an employee's performance evaluation and you do it in January of every year, well, what are you accomplishing by doing that? As long as you're adding value and something's happening, that's great. But what if your employees are telling you, look, this is dumb. I don't get anything out of this. Well, a good HR manager and good company will look at ways to improve upon that process. So the discussion about how we add value and with each one of these functional areas is incredibly important for you to know, simply because it is something that will follow you throughout. And finally, this chapter kind of concludes with kind of the future of HR management, and what does the future look like for HR professionals? And I can assure you the future is bright. HR is one of the fastest growing business majors in all of America, because again, there's an old saying that to be an HR you have to be a people person, and HR attracts the people, if you will. And to a certain extent that's true. Most HR professionals enjoy being around people, enjoy interacting, and want to see other people succeed. But where I think a lot of people forget to think is HR is about adding value to the business. What can we do to help our employees who are our most valuable asset to make their jobs and their working lives better? I tell anytime I get a new employee in my department, on their first day, the first thing I always tell them is our job in HR is to make our employees' working lives better, to make them appreciate their job, to make them love their job, hopefully, and to show that we care about their development, and hopefully they'll stay with us a long time, and then promote our company to others so that they can do their marketing job or their facilities job or whatever it is that they do in the company. So HR at the end of the day is the heart and soul of a company. We are what gives it its lifeblood. We are what makes people going. It's why we care, and I think that's what makes an HR professional special, is to show that we care. Well, it's been a great semester, and I hope you've really learned something. Again, I'll be posting a few things online about how we'll kind of tie this semester up, which includes the final exam. I promise you, it's not daunting. If you study, you should do very well on it. So, but as always, class, you've been a wonderful class. I've really enjoyed reading your posts on the message board, the work that you've given me with the assignments. I know I give you a lot of assignments because we only have 8 weeks, but I've been very impressed as a class as a whole with the quality of your work, and most importantly, I can show that you've taken the class seriously and that you've really dedicated yourself to understanding these concepts. So from myself to you, thank you for your attentiveness. Thank you for being in this class. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if I can ever be a resource to you, or if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me an email. I'm always happy to do so. Thank you so much, class, and best of luck on the final exam.